In 2010, Celtic lost the Scottish Cup semi-final to Ross County. After the game, Michael Tierney, the father of Kieran, was interviewed by television cameras. In the interview, he would go on to say, "That's the worst Celtic team I've seen in my life," before indicating the 12-year-old Kieran by his side, and this is the future in front of us. Kieran Tierney was always destined to be a Celtic player. He was adored at Celtic, as you'd expect of any former ball boy who would go on to captain the club. He came from a family of obsessive Celtic fans, as his dad and uncle used to drive supporter buses on behalf of the club. Thus, it was inevitable that he would eventually become the local hero for supporters. However, it's not always been smooth sailing for Tierney. Take a closer look at his career and you discover it's a story of overcoming adversity, of repeatedly bouncing back. Don't ever count Tierney out. Others have, and have looked foolish for it. When Tierney was just a boy, his teachers would ask him what he wanted to be when he grew up. He'd always answer, a footballer. But the teaching staff had their doubts. Tierney's mother, who was a dinner lady at the school, had teachers constantly explaining to her that her son ought to set more realistic goals. When Tierney turned 15, it seemed as if their skepticism might win out. At 15, the winger was struggling for regular game time in Celtic's academy and was not at all featuring in the Scottish youth teams. He chose to drop down an age group at Celtic and contemplated following his father's footsteps by serving an apprenticeship as a roofer. While other players at Celtic were kept on, Tierney was kept waiting. In the end of the season, an offer arrived, but Tierney got just 12 months while others in his age group were offered 3 years. 12 months was all it took, however. A switch to left back and some physical development saw Tierney's fortunes improve. And yet, the day after Tierney's first call-up to the Celtic bench, the high point of his developing career, he broke his leg. Injuries have always dogged Tierney throughout his career. Tierney's desire to partake in the physical side of the game has sometimes placed him in harm's way. The injuries have never stopped the Scotsman, however. In Tierney, they've instead forged a steely resilience and a determination to get back up after being knocked down. In his battle with injury problems, Tierney has an unusual ally, the notorious Conor McGregor. When Tierney was sidelined with injury, he would get inspiration from watching McGregor's documentaries online. When the pair eventually made contact via social media, McGregor offered tips as Tierney went through rehab. McGregor and Tierney finally met at the Belfast UFC event in 2017 and bonded immediately over their shared love of Celtic. McGregor has even been pictured wearing Tierney's replica shirt during workouts. It's a friendship that endures, as in January this year, Tierney flew to Las Vegas to watch McGregor fight. Tierney has long admired McGregor's showmanship and skill, but above all else, he's admired his will to overcome. Tierney highlights how he admires McGregor's constant positivity and his ability to use his doubters as fuel to bounce back from defeats. Arsenal's first serious approach for Tierney came in the summer of 2016. The young defender had enjoyed a breakthrough season at Celtic, playing over 30 games, but the new manager, Brendan Rodgers, convinced him his immediate future lay in Glasgow. Even last summer, it was not a straightforward choice to leave his beloved Celtic. Tierney has since admitted the decision gave him sleepless nights, not only because he was leaving his boyhood club, but that he was also leaving the home he had bought for his parents after signing his first major contract. Moving to North London has been a significant step for Tierney, living alone and adapting to a new city. He credits the likes of both Granit Xhaka and Hector Bellerin with helping him settle. Tierney arrived at Arsenal with a hip injury and began to impress immediately with his commitment to the rehab program. He was also injured when Mikel Arteta first arrived. After running in the first team through November, Tierney dislocated his shoulder 3 times in 10 minutes against West Ham in December. It was a bitter blow, but Tierney's dedication to come back impressed Arsenal's new manager. Arteta was also impressed that Tierney would digitally attend team meetings throughout his absence. The bright lights of London have not at all affected Tierney, who insists his routine revolves around training, recuperation, and playing PlayStation. He may have got his big move, but there's no sign that it's getting to his head. During lockdown, he was even spotted delivering food packages in his new neighborhood. His playing style is also gloriously uncomplicated. He's an old-fashioned defender who goes forward, but understands, like the top defenders in the world, that defending is his job first. In this new Arsenal team, Tierney is a quiet, hard man. This weekend, when Arsenal face Tottenham in the North London derby, for Tierney, hardened by countless old firm encounters, the intensity of that rivalry will feel something like home, and another no-nonsense performance at Tottenham will see Tierney's growing stardom rise. To think people had once written him off. Much like his pal McGregor, Tierney knows what it takes to bounce back. He knows what it takes to prove the doubters wrong.